It has been over a month since Stranger Things finally ended, and it's taken me this long to actually come to terms with it. It was that serious. And I know the topic is pretty tired. I feel like everyone's already talked about it. There's like so many analysis videos on Stranger Things season 5 and Byler and all of that, but I want to put my thoughts somewhere because I can't stop thinking about it, and to be honest, I think at this point my friends are tired of me talking about it. You know, they say that grief is just love with nowhere to go. Well, mine is going on YouTube. Yeah, mine is going on YouTube because I need to just put my thoughts somewhere, okay? I can't even begin to explain to you what Byler means to me. I have been obsessed. I have been hyperfixated on Byler since 2022, since season 4 came out. There are certain songs where I literally feel my heart drop into my stomach because it reminds me of Byler. I'll literally be at work like steaming someone's milk for their cappuccino, and I'm literally just like, I hear Lover, You Should Have Come Over by Jeff Buckley, and my heart sinks. You know what I mean? My friend even gave me a Byler tattoo. Yes, it is that serious, and today I'm going to explain to you why I believe that Byler is still canon, no matter what. No matter how it ended, no matter what they gave us, no matter how bad that writing was. To me, even after the finale, it just proved to me that Byler exists. Okay? So we're going to talk about it. I have my notebook here, and I have written down a bunch of ways where Will Byers is haunting the narrative of Mike and Eleven. These aren't even all the examples. These are just the examples that came straight to my head when I was like skimming through the seasons in my mind. So we're going to get into it. After they find Will's fake body, they don't know it's fake. They think he actually died. Mike yells at Eleven. And honestly, rewatching the first few seasons of Stranger Things made me realize, like, Mike wasn't really that nice to Eleven, even from the beginning. I used to think that they were really cute, and they were. Like, season 1 and 2, Mike and Eleven, very cute. But when I was watching it back the past few months, I was like, wait, he's kind of mean to her. He's kind of a little bitch. After they find Will's fake body, Mike is at home. He's in the basement, and Eleven is there too. And Mike is looking through all of Will's drawings. He kept all of Will's drawings in a binder, which is the cutest thing. That's literally the sweetest thing ever. Okay, he keeps Will's drawings, right? And Eleven is messing with the radio, like the walkie-talkie. And Mike yells at her. He's like, "Will you stop?" He basically tells her to shut up. He's mad, he's grieving, he's yelling at her. But then, right as she's messing with the walkie-talkie, she makes contact with Will. And then you can hear Will's voice singing, "Should I stay or should I go?" over the walkie-talkie. And Mike immediately gets up and recognizes that it's Will's voice. And right when he realizes that Will is still alive and that Eleven helped him realize that, he's all of a sudden nice to her again. It seems like in season 1, he's only nice to Eleven when she's benefiting him finding Will. And I know maybe that seems like a reach. Maybe some people interpret it differently. But honestly, most of season 1, I feel like Mike was kind of a jerk to Eleven unless she was helping the boys find Will. I noticed that. It was very interesting. It was very Will-centered, to be honest. If we go on to season 2, season 2 is a great Byler season. Mike and Eleven only reunite at the very end of season 2, so most of season 2, Mike and Eleven are not shown together, okay? So it's very Mike and Will-centered. It's very sweet. While Will is going through his possession, Mike never leaves his side. He's with him in the lab. He sleeps next to him. He's literally wrapped in a blanket, sleeping next to his best friend in the hospital bed. It's the cutest thing ever. It's such a good season. It's actually my favorite season. But especially like as far as Byler goes, it is a great season. We get the "we'll go crazy together" scene. We get protective Mike. Like, it's truly beautiful. At the end of season 2, when they have the snowball dance, a girl comes up to Will and asks him to dance, and Mike encourages him to go. Go on, go dance with this girl. So he does. Like, Will reluctantly dances with this girl, and Mike is just seen longingly looking at him. And again, people might think this is a reach. However, when Max and Lucas are dancing together, Dustin is looking longingly at them because he had a crush on Max. So it makes sense. It makes sense for him to see Lucas and Max dancing, and then Dustin is just kind of looking at them like kind of sad, like, damn, she chose him. But if you look right next to Dustin, even though he's not in the focus, Mike is there. And his eyes aren't on Max and Lucas. His eyes are on Will and this random girl. And he is also looking forlorn at the snowball dance because Will's dancing with someone else. Now again, this could be seen as a reach. However, I fear it's blatantly in our faces. Like, why? Mike was literally encouraging Will to go dance with this girl. And then once he does, like, he's literally looking like this. I don't know. Guys, that seems a little fruity to me. We're going to skip to season 3 now. In season 3, Mike and 11 break up. But basically, Mike lies to her because he's afraid of Hopper. And so 11 dumps him, especially because she starts hanging out with Max and she realizes, oh wait, being friends with a girl is great, and also my life is not all about boys. This is awesome. Basically, she does break up with Mike. And what does Mike do? He sits on the couch, he bitches and moans, he says he doesn't understand girls. He's being a brat. Instead of apologizing to his girlfriend and trying to make it right, he's just bitching and moaning. In fact, he's waiting for 11 to call him first. Like, he doesn't even want to make the first move. He wants her to come back to him. All right. Shortly after that, Will and Mike get into a fight in the rain, the infamous rain scene. Will is angry at Mike for not being a good friend and basically abandoning him for girls. Like, he doesn't care that Mike is dating 11. He just wants to spend time with his best friend like they used to. And Mike is all upset. He's like, it's not my fault you don't like girls. Crazy thing to say, by the way. But right after he says it, he immediately regrets it. He knows he messed up. And not only that, Will, it's pouring rain outside. Will goes home. And what does Mike do? Does he sit on the couch and bitch and moan? Does he say he doesn't understand? No, actually, he bikes across town in the pouring rain to Will's house and starts banging on the door begging for forgiveness.
Will, I'm sorry, man, all right? I was being a total asshole. Please, can you just come outside and we'll talk? Will!
Now, it's a little bit odd. This boy's priorities are a little bit odd to me because what do you mean your girlfriend broke up with you and you can't man up and apologize or even admit you did anything wrong? But you hurt your best friend's feelings and you're biking across town in the pouring rain begging for forgiveness. If you ship Mike and 11, if you think that they are endgame, if they are the perfect couple, that's great. But can you explain to me why that makes sense? I'll wait. In fact, if you can give me any examples on how Mike is a good boyfriend to her, can you just... I'll wait. All right, let's move on. At the end of season 3, the Byers are going to move to California and they're taking 11 with them because Hopper dies. As they're saying goodbyes to everyone, right? They're packing up the house. Mike and Will have this really sweet conversation between them because Mike notices that Will is donating his D&D book. And Mike is like, well, why were you donating that? What if you want to join another party? Will goes, not possible. And then they have this like little shared look between them. And then Mike smiles. He goes... He doesn't do that, but it's like the same vibe, okay? Will basically said like, I don't want to join another party if it's not with you. And they just smile at each other. It's very cute. But then we have Mike and 11's goodbye. At this point, Mike has never said I love you to her face. But she like knows. She's like, well, he loves me. She kisses him and says, I love you too. And as she's walking away, she's like all giddy, like, that's my man. Mike has this confused look on his face. His eyes were open during that kiss, and as she's walking away, he just looks confused. It looks like a realization hit him. And need I mention that he was framed in Will's closet. During the kissing scene, he was quite literally framed in Will's closet with a light bulb over his head. And then he has this confused look after his girlfriend kisses him. Now, this is why I'm confused. Things like this is why I'm so confused why people who hate Byler or never saw Mike as queer in any way, they're always like, guys, of course Byler wouldn't happen. You're stupid. You're reaching. Like, it was never gonna happen. Why do these scenes exist? When you're filming a production, everything is intentional. The lighting, the framing, Everything is intentional, everything is directed, everything is planned out. So if Mike and Will never had a chance of being together, if people who ship Byler are delusional, why do scenes like this exist? If Mike and Eleven are supposed to be together, like, give me something! Please, like, please show me that he likes her. Because this poor girl has been through enough. She at least deserves a boyfriend that likes her. Mike Wheeler is either closeted or evil, and I stand by that. As season 4 begins, Eleven is shown writing a letter to Mike. She's so excited to see him because he's flying to California over spring break. They're gonna be reunited. So cute. She's like, I'm gonna see my man. And in the letter, she writes that Will is working on a painting and he won't let her see it, and that she thinks that he's making it for someone that he likes. Specifically a girl. Obviously we know that Will is gay, so it's not a girl, but that's what Eleven says to Mike anyway. Will's been acting different lately. He's making this painting, he won't show it to me, and I think it's for a girl he likes, okay? Remember that. Remember that. Flash forward. Mike gets to the airport. Will and Eleven are both waiting for him. They're both giddy. Like, Eleven's excited to see her boyfriend. Will's excited to see his best friend after all these months, right? It's so cute. They're so excited. Mike shows up looking a mess. He runs to Eleven. He kisses her. It's so sweet. And then Will excitedly gets up, ready to hug his best friend. And Mike can't hug him.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
He can't hug him. Okay. Why not? Oh, see, if Mike was struggling with internalized homophobia and his feelings for Will, this would make perfect sense why he struggled to even show any sort of affection or care for his best friend. But if he's not, if he is straight, then there's no explanation for this. There's no, like, bro, why can't you hug your best friend? The best friend you've been friends with since you were like, what, 8 years old or something, 6 years old? I don't even remember. You were tiny when you have been best friends for like a decade at this point. And you can't hug him at the airport after not seeing him for months. But guess what he does do, right? After his like really awkward pat on the back to Will, he goes, "What's that?" Because he sees Will holding the rolled up painting. Knowing that Will has been working on a painting for a girl he likes. You're telling me that that one little tidbit in Eleven's letter is what Mike remembered? That Will likes someone. And that's the first thing he asks him? Not like, hey dude, how are you? How's California? I've missed you. Like having a normal conversation you have with a friend you haven't seen in months. No, you immediately go to the painting. What's that? What's that? Is that for me? Or Will goes, oh, it's nothing. It's just a stupid painting I've been working on. And Mike just goes, cool. And then proceeds to ignore Will for the rest of the day. What breaks my heart, Will Byers is one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character. I love him so much. He deserves so much better. But like, what breaks my heart, he was just excited. He was just excited to see his best friend after all this time and to give him a painting he's been working on. And he immediately decides not to because his best friend can't even hug him. And then he just downplays it and says, oh, it's just a stupid painting I've been working on. Doesn't give it to him. That breaks my heart because he was so excited to see him and give him a painting. And he decides not to give it to him because Mike is being weird. Oh my God. And this is why I go to say Mike Wheeler is either closeted or evil. Because why can't you hug your best friend at the airport? Moving on. This episode is pretty juicy, okay? So the three of them go to the roller rink, okay? Eleven honestly has had a really hard time since moving. She's being bullied at school. She doesn't have any friends. Will is her only friend, you know, because they're siblings now. And so she's so excited to see Mike, and she's lying to him and basically saying like, oh, you should meet all my new friends. And she names a list of bullies that aren't even her friends because she just wants to seem cool and that she's doing great, right? She's trying to impress her boyfriend. Mike does not pick up on this. He does not pick up on the fact that Eleven is lying to him. He's just like, wow, cool, great. And interestingly enough, like, as Mike and 11 are walking through the airport, we cut to Will, who's third wheeling. He's kind of walking in the back and he's being quiet and he's sad. And Will obviously knows that 11 is lying. He's just observing, right? But he's not saying anything. He's not getting in the way. He's just kind of keeping to himself because he's like, okay, my best friend doesn't care about me anymore and my sister is lying and I don't know what to do about this. This is really awkward. Let's not even bring up the fact that it's Will's birthday. Like, canonically, it's Will's birthday, and that is a whole other topic for another video because don't get me started. Don't get me started on the fact they forgot Will's birthday. So they get to the roller skating rink. Mike is completely ignoring Will, not saying anything to him, not paying attention to him, acting like he's not there. But interestingly enough, like getting close to him, getting next to him, but not talking to him. This kind of reminds me of like when you have a crush on someone in 7th grade and you're too scared to talk to them, but you still have a crush on them. So you like always want to be near them and always want to be in their corner, but you don't ever want to talk to them or look at them in the eye. That's what Mike is doing. Because like, bro, why can't you talk to your best friend? That's your best friend. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing here? 11 gets bullied at the roller rink. They run into her bullies and they humiliate her. They throw a milkshake on her in the middle of the roller rink. It's devastating. It is devastating to watch. 11 has not done anything wrong, and these bullies have completely humiliated her in front of the whole roller rink, in front of Mike, in front of Will. It's so heartbreaking, right? But 11, she runs away, she's crying, she's covered in milkshake, and she hides in a closet in the roller rink, okay? You would think any good boyfriend would either stand up to her bullies or just be like tearing that place apart looking for your girlfriend. Like, right? Any good boyfriend would just be like, okay, I gotta lock in. I need to look for my girlfriend. I can't believe I didn't see what was happening in front of me. Like, I should have protected her. But what does Mike Wheeler do? He gets mad at Will for not paying attention to him. Mike and Will get into an argument in the middle of the roller rink, and Mike literally says to Will, "You've been moping around. You're sabotaging the entire day." Your girlfriend was just bullied! But Will's sabotaging the day? Because he wasn't paying attention to you. Meanwhile, you weren't paying attention to him. So of course he was moping in the back. Because he was excited to see you and you wouldn't give him the time of day. You couldn't even hug him at the airport. But you're mad at him. Projection, Your Honor. Like, honestly, what the fuck? Sir? Your girlfriend is crying somewhere. Go find her. Let's not get mad at your best friend and telling him he's ruining the day. This is, oh my God. Let's say it with me now. Say it with me now. Mike Wheeler is either closeted or evil. Let's keep going. It gets better. Will goes, what about us? Like, hello? Like, you're mad at me for not talking to you, but like, you never reached out. You never called me. You never sent me letters. What about us? Mike turns around with a quickness and he goes, what? He goes, we're friends. He says it twice. Nobody was questioning your friendship. Nobody for even a second doubted that Will was your friend. So I don't know why you needed to say it. You needed to emphasize it twice. This to me sounds like he's convincing himself. We all know that like Will's in love with Mike, but he has never once insinuated that like out loud. He has never once like made a move on Mike. He's never once thought that Mike could like him back. He has just been a platonic friend, right? Despite his feelings for Mike, he has never acted upon that. So for Mike to freak out and be like, we're friends. Like, do I need to say anything at this point? Towards the end of season 4, we're just skipping through a lot. While they're in the car, because they're on a road trip now to find 11 because she was taken. It's the whole thing. Okay. This is where Will gives Mike the painting. Mike is like, in the car being like, what if 11 doesn't need me anymore? And then Will gives Mike the painting and he's kind of being like, no, we need you. We'll always need you. She needs you. Like, you make her feel like she's not a mistake. Even if she feels like she's a mistake. He's talking about himself, but he's framing it as 11's feelings. And Mike is listening intently, but he doesn't catch on that Will's talking about his own feelings. But when he opens up this painting, he is smiling ear to ear. He's like, you painted this? Oh my God. The painting Will made for a girl he likes was actually for me? Oh. Like, he's smiling ear to ear, and he said, "You made this?" And Will goes, "Well, yeah, but 11 asked me to make it." He lies because he's afraid to, like, be honest about his feelings. As soon as he says 11 commissioned it, Mike's smile drops. Bro wanted this painting to come from his homeboy, and only his homeboy. Isn't that interesting that he grinning ear to ear until he said, "Well, yeah, actually, L asked me to make it." Right. Let's not even talk about all the times that Mike stares at Will's lips. He always looks down at Will's lips. This is not a reach. This is just what happens in the show.
Count 1, guilty. Count 2, guilty. Count 3, guilty.
It's not my fault you don't like girls.
Guilty. Count 5, guilty. Count 6, guilty. Count 7, guilty. Count 8, guilty. Count 9, guilty. Count 10, guilty. Count 11, guilty. Count 12, guilty. Count 13, guilty. Count 14, guilty.
Let's move on. Towards the end of season 4, right, they're reunited with 11. 11 is in a mind battle with Vecna, trying to save Max's life. 11 starts struggling. The boys can tell that, like, she might die. This girl might die right here. And so they're just trying to talk. They're just trying to wake her up, get her out of there so that they can, save her. Will has to rub Mike's back and basically tell him, like, "You're the heart. Like, you can do this. You can save her. Go on. Like, you can do this." And then we hear the one and only time in this show that Mike says to 11's face, "I love you." And he only said it, 1, to save her life, but 2, because Will pressured him to. I too can only say "I love you" to my partner when my homegirl is whispering sweet nothings into my ear. All right. Let's skip to season 5. Now, season 5, volume 1 was like, I've never felt more hope. I have never felt like I had like a twinkle in my eye that I never had before after volume 1. Like, the world felt like it was changing for the better. Season 5, volume 1, Byler was like, this is gonna be studied for years to come. This show set Byler up to happen, and there's no mistake about that. You can argue with the wall because you cannot tell me from a writer's perspective, like, that they were not setting them up. There was like a month in between volume 1 and volume 2, right? So during that month, like, the edits, the art, the conversations, the theories, the fanfics that were coming out during that time for Byler were heaven. Like, it was genuinely, like, this only happened 2 months ago, and I mourn for that time. I'm grieving. Like, I wish I could be that person I was during volume 1, because I miss her. I miss the version of me I was living at that time, because I was already, like, in the depths of winter depression, and Byler was the, like, one beacon of light shining down on me, and I was like, never felt that good before. Wow. And this is because volume 1 set up Byler so perfectly. We left season 4 with Mike and 11's relationship kind of being broken up. They didn't officially break up, but Mike did say, like, this is the kind of fight you don't come back from. And it was unclear if they reconciled or not. In episode 1 of season 5, we do see Mike and 11, like, reunite, like, hug and have a little conversation, but they didn't kiss. There was nothing about their conversation that was giving romantic. It was confused. It made fans believe maybe they did break up, because it just seemed like they were talking as friends. It seemed very platonic and ambiguous. And all of Mike and 11's interactions in season 5 just seemed platonic and ambiguous. So the way the show ended was really confusing. So anyway, all right. Will and Robin become friends, and as we know, Robin is the canonically lesbian character in the show. And he asks Robin for advice. He finds out that Robin and Vicky are together. Okay, get off. Do you ship Byler? He does. He just doesn't know how to talk. Will and Robin become friends. Will finds out that she's gay, she has a girlfriend, and this is the 80s. Like, I don't think he knows, like, any other queer people. Like, this is huge for him. How did you know that, like, Vicky wanted to date you? She says, there were signals. And he goes, signals? And she goes, yeah, like a brush of the knee, a bump of the elbow, shared looks. What 2 characters have canonically been sharing these signals from the very beginning of time? Mike and Will. These 2 are always bumping elbows and giving shared looks and brushing each other's knees. Like, it's insane. It is insane. How, oh my God. You don't even get that with Mike and 11. who's a canon couple, by the way. We don't even get that between them, but we get it between him and Will. And Will seems so hopeful all of a sudden. Like, Will gets like a glimmer in his eye and he's like thinking, and you can tell the wheels are turning in his head. He was like, oh shit, does Mike like me? And this is where Mike, what the fuck did you do gate comes from. Now, if you're a Byler fan, you know about all the gates, okay? If you're not a Byler fan or you're not into Stranger Things, you probably don't know what this means. But basically, there are different gates, and each gate is a theory involving Byler. There's Flicker Gate, there's Church Gate, but this one called Mike, what the fuck did you do gate? This is the theory that something happened between season 4 and season 5 where Mike insinuated that he likes Will, or he did something to give Will hope, because otherwise this doesn't make sense narratively. In the past few seasons, Will has been destroyed by his love for Mike. He's been in love with Mike, and he's just been absolutely crushed by it because he can't show it, he can't tell him, he can't actually face that part of him, so he has to just suffer in silence and watch his best friend date 11, and he is in support of it, but he's hurting. Like, he destroyed Castle Byers over it. He had that fight with Mike in the rain over it. He was crying in the car after he gave Mike the painting over it. Like, this boy has been crushed by his love for Mike. So for us to go from season 4 to season 5, where he's all of a sudden asking Robin, like, how can you tell if someone likes you? Made everyone confused, because we were like, wait. Will has hope? Wait. Did Mike do something? Is Will finally gonna get the boy he deserves? Like, hold on. Because narratively, from a writing standpoint, it doesn't make sense otherwise. This whole signals conversation does not make sense otherwise. So Will has this hope that seemingly comes out of nowhere, which has led fans to believe, okay, Mike and 11 must have broken up, and Mike must have shown interest in Will for Will to have this hope. All right? And we all believe that, okay? We all believed it, because it was too good. In episode 4 of The Sorcerer, when they're trying to rescue the kids from the military, they're trying to escort the kids through the bathroom floor, and a pipe bursts because they accidentally knocked it with their shovels. And so a pipe is bursting, overflowing with water, and Mike notices it and he goes, oh shit. And then next thing you know, Mike and Will are on the bathroom floor holding hands trying to keep this pipe together as water spraying all over them. I find it interesting that they chose Mike and Will for this scene specifically, when they could have sent Lucas up there. They could have sent Robin up there, but no, it was specifically Mike and Will trying to keep this pipe from bursting, trying to hold it together while their hands are clasped onto each other. The symbolism in Stranger Things and the queer coding in Stranger Things is crazy, but this to me was the most obvious representation, especially after the signals conversation. How do you tell if someone likes you? The fact that Mike and Will were both desperately trying to hold this bursting pipe together, they're holding their hands. To me, it was blatantly trying to convey they can't hold their feelings in anymore. They're trying to keep it together, but they can't keep it together, and it's going to explode. That is how I and many other people interpreted this scene, because why them? Why'd you choose why them? Especially after the signals conversation. Especially after the field scene. All right. There's that huge Mackenzie fight with the Demogorgons. Vecna comes through the veil. He basically tells Will, you're weak. And then he leaves. He just shows off his little waist and he leaves. But he sends the Demogorgons to attack Will's friends, including Mike. And that's when Will stands up and he siphons Vecna's powers and he stops the Demogorgons from killing his friends. The way Mike looks at Will when he realizes that Will is holding these Demogorgons back with his mind, the way Mike looks at Will with that twinkle in his eye and the world is slowing down, I have never seen Mike look at anyone like that. I've never seen Mike look at 11 like that. And this is why being a Byler during that time was truly something, because wow, that scene was everything to me. It still is everything to me. Also, not to mention that the reason why Will realized he had power in the first place and was able to siphon Vecna's powers was through his love for Mike. Literally, his queer love was able to give him strength and able for him to like find his powers. Right after Vecna told him, "You're weak, you're queer." Well, I mean, he didn't say you're queer, but like he put those images in his mind of Will destroying Castle Byers and crying in the car, both having to do with Mike, his feelings for Mike. No, my love for Mike is what strengthens me. Honestly, I'm gonna skim. There's so many examples here, but I'm gonna like skip a few of them, to be honest. As we know, Volume 2 and 3, Season 5 was severely disappointing, and not only because like, oh, I didn't like the ending, it felt like the Duffer Brothers lost sense of who their characters were, and it felt like everyone was like a fake version of themselves. And this is why I and many other people believed in Conformity Gate, because okay, that's a whole other video for another time. And I will always personally believe in Conformity Gate, not because I think we're gonna get more episodes. I think that's unrealistic. I think what we got is what we got, but I do believe in it as a theory because the ending of Stranger Things was too off-putting and weird and out of place for me to accept that as real. Right, so. Oh, and then the radio tower scene, the friends? No thanks. Best friends. Yeah, that was horrible, but can I just say, like, that whole scene was flirty. That scene was so flirty to me. If this is your way of trying to tell us that Mike is straight and that they were only ever supposed to be platonic with each other, you did a really bad job with it, because Mike just seemed like flustered the entire time and like smiling, and it was really flirty and like did not feel platonic at all. In fact, comparing that tower scene with any of Mike and Eleven's interactions in season 5, if you show those two scenes side by side to someone who's never watched the show and you're like, which one is the couple? Like, I'm not convinced that they would say Mike and Eleven are a couple, because he was never that giddy and smiley with Eleven. I don't know. It was weird. It was even while rejecting Will, he's like flustered around him. Right. What they did with Eleven's character is beyond traumatic and horrible and depressing. That is a whole other topic for another day. I'm so upset with what they did with Eleven's character. And Byler not happening not only ruined their story narratively, but it also ruined Mike, Will, and Eleven's arcs. I truly believe that Byler would have, if Byler happened in the end, I truly believed a lot of their plot holes would have been filled. That's not coming from, oh, I ship Byler, so it must have happened. No, it's like narratively what they set up and what they gave us with no payoff. Byler happening would have completed all 3 of their main characters' arcs, and I stand by that. When Eleven is about to sacrifice herself, which, don't even get me started, I'm pissed about that. That girl deserved a happy life. She's about to go down with the upside down. She's about to end her cycle of abuse by killing herself. Horrible message, by the way. Mike and Eleven have this one last conversation, and Purple Rain by Prince starts playing. Yes, they spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars for the rights of this song, between Mike and Eleven, right? And she goes up to him and she's like, "You're the only one who's ever understood me. I love you." And they kiss, and Mike doesn't say it back. Even when his girlfriend is seconds from death, he cannot tell his girlfriend, "I love you." You know what I'm about to say. Mike Wheeler is either closeted or evil. Because what do you mean? You can't tell your girlfriend you love her, even in her dying moments. And the funny thing is that the Duffer Brothers came out and they clarified, oh yeah, that scene between Mike and Eleven, Mike was imagining that. That didn't really happen. She couldn't have actually pulled him into the void because of the kryptonite. All right. So, okay, so you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on the rights to the Prince song on Mike's imagination scene, and even in his imagination, he could not tell his girlfriend that he loves her. Why? There's no straight explanation for that. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. I don't understand why you can't tell your girlfriend you love her. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. And of course, in his mind, he would think Eleven, like he's the only person to understand Eleven. That's the farthest from the truth. This boy never understood her a day in his life. The way that the show ended also. This is why I still believe in Byler, even if it never happened on screen, even if there was no confession or payoff or kiss or whatever, which was, yeah, of course, disappointing on its own. It has taken me over a month to process this because it was truly devastating to me what they did to these characters, what they did with the writing, and also just like how much suffering they put Will through. Not only his trauma with being missing and the upside down, but then also his love for Mike and being queer. The fact that he felt like he needed to come out because Vecna was going to use it against him. Like, he came out of fear, not because he wanted to. It was not empowering. Like, they made Will Byers suffer so much without any payoff, without any love interest. He is the only main character to not get a love interest. And they made him in love with his best friend over 5 seasons. Why? Just for his best friend to reject him. Why? And this is why I don't understand when people are like, it's not queer baiting. I cannot agree with you on that because there's no logical explanation to drag it out this long and to insinuate that Mike also feels the same way about Will. Because why couldn't he hug him at the airport? Why couldn't he tell his girlfriend he loves her? Like, this makes no sense. It makes no sense from a narrative standpoint that Byler didn't happen. Even with all that being said, the ending was so unsatisfying and so tragic for Mike Wheeler. Because at the end, after the epilogue, when all the kids are graduating, Mike shows up to the graduation late and he sees his mom. And his mom gets up and they hug. And Mike tells her, I love you. I find that really interesting. They put that in there considering he couldn't say I love you to his girlfriend, but he says it to his mom. And again, I know it's like, well, that's your mom. Of course you love her. But the thing is that I find that interesting. I find that he had no problem saying I love you. It's just that he couldn't say it to 11. And that to me is very telling. Mike, Dustin, Max, Lucas, and Will, they all have one last D&D game together in the basement. And it's supposed to be like this super sweet, nostalgic thing. Mike and Will keep giving each other these flirty looks during it, by the way, but we're not even going to address that, okay? Just know it happened. As they're all putting their binders away, their D&D books on the shelf, one by one, Will puts his book on the shelf, and then Mike goes after him. As Mike is putting his book on the shelf, he just stops and he stares at Will's book. He stares at Will's name and he just has these tears in his eyes. And he pauses and then he puts his book next to Will's, and then his finger like caresses, like just stays in between the two books, between the names Will and Mike. He just lingers for a moment there. And that to me was the most Brokeback Mountain type ending. Like, that was giving Ennis holding Jack's, that's his name, right? Is his name Jack? Ennis and Jack, I think. Yeah, Ennis holding Jack's jacket at the end. If Byler isn't canon, why is Byler canon? Why was Byler there even in the epilogue? Like, why? To me, I read that ending as Mike staying in the closet and never accepting himself and never coming to terms with himself, because all of his friends were able to go off and have a good life except for him. And I know it could be argued like, oh, well, he just could never move on after 11. Like, it's because he loved 11. The problem is they did not give us that. They did not build up Mike and 11's relationship in a meaningful, good way for us to be convinced. They waited until the very last episode to make them kiss, and he still couldn't say I love you back. That's what I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with Mike and 11 ending up together. I have a problem with them not being written properly and 11 not having a good boyfriend. It's really sad. And so to me, I interpreted that ending as Mike always being in love with Will, never being able to come out and say it. And he just stayed in the closet. That's truly the only way I can interpret it, because he, even in the end, in his college dorm, you see Will's painting hanging up on the wall and the one-way sign on his wall. And previously, the one-way sign in his room was pointing to the closet. And you know what's interesting? Is that ending, Mike Wheeler having that tragic ending, has actually inspired a lot of people to come out. A lot of people who are middle-aged, people in their late 20s, people in their 30s. I literally saw a TikTok of someone saying, like, the ending of Stranger Things made my dad come out. And that is why byler is so important, and why byler happening would have been generational, especially in one of the world's biggest shows that isn't about queerness. It has queer characters, but it's not about queerness. And most queer shows are centered around queerness, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you go into a show like expecting, oh yeah, this is a gay show, you know? But for them to, like, if they pulled byler off in one of the world's biggest shows like that, that would have been a historical moment for the queer community. It would have been huge. And the fact that even though it didn't happen, they didn't, you know, Will and Mike didn't end up together, it still inspired people to come out because they didn't want to end up like Mike Wheeler in the end. Like, that's powerful. That is powerful. And this is why I don't understand when people insist that Mike is straight and that they never, ever, ever read into any of the subtext of byler. And the cool thing about art is that you can interpret it differently. You can interpret any media differently. If you truly believe from the bottom of your heart that Mike is a straight character and never reciprocated feelings for Will, that's great. That is your opinion. To me, the subtext, the queer coding and the subtext within the show just felt blatantly in my face. And if anything, if I tried to force myself to see Mike and Eleven as a good couple, I just don't think I could, because what he had with Will was so distinctly different. And there was so much in the lighting, in the writing, in the song choices. There was so much symbolism holding these two together that I can't look at it any other way. And this is not like me reaching. This isn't me just, oh, you're just mad because two boys didn't kiss. Like, no, it's for the Duffer Brothers to come out and say, oh yeah, byler was never in the cards. Who set that system up? You guys wrote it. You guys set it up. So that is why I will always believe that byler is in fact endgame, that Mike was in love with Will. I will say the one good thing about them keeping it ambiguous like that and then giving us like little sprinkles of byler up until the very end is that the amount of art and fan fiction and theories that have come out since have been amazing. Fandom culture is alive and well, and queer people will always be there. Like, if the Duffer Brothers don't got my back, the queers have my back, because the amount of art that has come out because of it has been amazing. Byler literally inspired me to write a song. I literally wrote a song about byler after Volume 1 came out. Like, byler is so powerful that it literally made me write music again. Okay, so that's why byler is so important to so many people, to me, and the fact that even in the end, even byler not being canon still had encouraged people to come out, is just tells you everything you need to know and how powerful it really was. Stranger Things will always be one of my favorite shows, even with an ending as bad as that. And that is why I still believe in Conformity Gate. I still believe that that ending we got was like the bad ending or the fake ending, even if it means we never get anything more in the future. That's fine, because the only way I can interpret the ending is it's real and Mike stays closeted forever, which is really sad, or Vecna won and we were shown a false reality, which is also really sad, because I just can't accept that as like the real true ending, because that sucked. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully any of this made sense. I don't know, guys. Byler is real, byler is canon, and I stand by that.